Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you all to this workshop on creating an abstract 3D illustration animation using Blender, led by the artist Taylor McArthur. On behalf of Abidjan New Media Lab, I'd like to thank the Indigenous Screen Office for their support in making this workshop possible, and of course to our workshop host Taylor. This is part of a series of workshops that Abidjan is hosting, and you can find more information about our programming and future events on the website. So we're very lucky to have Taylor leading this workshop today. Taylor is a digital artist working with 3D animation, video game design, and video. Her practice is informed by Indigenous Futurisms and seeks to situate her Indigenous culture within both the modern and a potential future vision. Her recent exhibitions include the Mackenzie Art Gallery, Gallery of Southwestern Manitoba, and the Canadian Roots Exchange. She is also currently undertaking a residency at Abidjan New Media Lab. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Taylor, and yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. I'll get here. I'll share the screen right away. Let's see if this works. Okay, and then I'm just going to turn my camera off just because it makes it a little bit easier. Focus here. And then also too, if I'm going too fast at all, or if anyone needs me to slow down or go over a step, just message in the chat there, and then I'll go back and do that because I know it's a little tricky at first. Okay, so I just want to make sure too that everyone has Blender downloaded already. So this is just the scene that I had made beforehand here. I'll just show it. This is the scene that I created. I'll show you the rendered view. So this would be the outcome of the project. And I'm just going to close the window real quick because it's just super loud. I just realized. Okay, yeah, so this is a little scene here that I created, and then I'll just quickly go over like the user interface and then the different key maps that I use. So I'm just going to start a file from scratch here. So you just go up to File and New, and then just General should be fine. And then so it opens up here to the default screen. So Blender's this is like their default workspace that they call this whole screen here. And then, so the top left, so this area right here is the 3D viewport. This is the outlier in the top right. So anything that we create or make will appear up in this scene. We can select any of the objects too by clicking on it or up here in the outlier. This is the properties tab here in the bottom right. There's also an option for the transform. This is like the different render engines and where we can add some post-processing afterwards. This is like the dimension of, I guess, whatever video or image we want to output, where to save it, but we'll go over that also at the end. Yeah, this is for the world. So in some of the work that I do, I added like an Hdr environment, and I just save the lighting from that into my scene. This is the modifiers tab too. We'll be using that later on. It's really easy to use. It adds cool effects for some stuff that we're going to do. And that's an easy way I use to add waves to water when I'm doing that. This is, I'm pretty sure just forgetting now. Oh yeah, the particle settings, which I also use often too. It's a great way to make grass. And then lastly, down here, we'll be using the materials tab. So it's pretty easy. And then on the bottom here is the timeline, and this is what's used for the animation. So then if we go up to the top here, we'll see we have the layout. I often use the shading tab up here too. So it just makes it easier to see, like when I'm creating a material, I can see like the changes that are applied to it directly. So I'll go back out to the layout tab here. And then within Blender here, if you press 0, it allows you to see the view through the camera on the number pad here. So it pulls up just like that. And then if you want to exit it, you should be able to just hit rotate or pan, which rotate is just the middle mouse if you click down and drag it around. And then pan is shift and the middle mouse, and it just side to side. So those are also the two key maps that we'll be using to navigate around in this workspace. Also, if you press down Z and hold it, you'll see that we have the rendered view, which we don't have any materials or lighting or effects, so nothing's really going to show up. And we have the solid view, and that's what I usually work in when we're creating stuff here in this 3D viewport. Then we have the material preview, which would also show up a little bit more if we had more materials and lighting. And then we have the wireframe. So if you just want to do that, yeah, you just press Z, drag your mouse over it, hover it, and then let go of Z, and it brings it to that. Yeah, the next thing is we have the object and edit mode. And you'll be able to see that here up in the top left of the 3D viewport. So if I select this cube here, I can go into edit mode. And then I can change any of like the faces, vertices, or edges. So it allows for a bit more manipulation of like whatever object that we're working with. But we won't be doing too much 3D modeling in this, since I wanted to take it easy for this first round here. So I'll just exit out of the tab here. And then, yeah, the next step would be, if we go, I hope you guys can see this, to the edit preferences. Sometimes it doesn't show up on the screen recording, so I might just have to do a new share of the screen here. Yeah, so edit, and then preferences. And then you should see like that, the Blender preferences. And then we're going to go to add-ons. So there's two different add-ons that we're going to use in this workshop here. And one of them that I use right now is the Add Mesh ANT landscape. So all you'll have to do is just type that up here, just ANT, and it should pop up. And then just select it, and it'll automatically add that in. And then the next one, I'm pretty sure, is the node wrangler. So if you just start typing node, it should pop up. Also select that, and it should be good to go. So I'll just go back to the Blender screen here. Oops. Sorry. And then I just want to make sure that everyone can see this, or everyone's up to speed here. There's no issues. Okay. All right. What else can I quickly go over to show you guys? Right here. Yeah, so in Blender, there's two different render engines, and there's Eevee and Cycles. Both of them are really nice. I tend to use Eevee a lot more because it gives me all these options here to add in like post-processing afterwards. So if I select Cycles, you see that I don't have too many options for that, but there's also a way that you can add in stuff afterwards using this compositing tab up at the top here. And then a lot of the times too, a lot of the cycle stuff tends to look, I guess, like a little more realistic with the work that they can create through that. So I really love using both of them. So yeah, so to navigate around in the workspace again here, it's just, you can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel. Pan is shift the middle mouse, and then rotate is just the middle mouse. And then, so we don't really need this cube right now. So you can either click on it and hit delete, or else you can hover over, or you can click on it, sorry, and hit X, and that also brings up the option to delete it. So the first thing that we're going to go ahead and do here is we're going to add in the landscape. So a shortcut for that is hitting Shift A and then Mesh, and then we're going to go under Landscape. So that's that add-on that we had selected earlier. So I'll go over to that. And then you'll see at the bottom here, there's like a little window. You just need to click on this arrow to open it up. And then at the top, we're going to go to Operator Presets. And you'll see here, just 1 second, I have somebody at the door. I'll be right back.
I would just like to say if at any time anyone has any questions, please feel free to just, unmute yourself or put that question in the chat box and we'll make sure that it gets answered.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so yeah, so if you go under the operator presets here, and then we can drop down here. If you click on any of the different ones here, you'll see that we have dunes. We have a lake option. We have mountains. The one that I tend to use a lot is either the river or the canyon or canyons one. Or maybe mountain. Yeah, you can pick whichever one you like. You can look through them too and see. So I think I'll just go, it's a little excessive. I think I'll just go with the canyon one. And then if we scroll down to the bottom here, where it says water plane, I'm just going to click that. And then it's going to add in a water plane for me. And then I don't think I'm going to change anything else in this scene here. So then once you click off of this anywhere, sorry, I didn't realize that I had paused the share too. Yeah, so I had just selected the canyons one and then added in the water plane down here at the bottom. And then yeah, so once you select or click off of it, that option goes away there. And I'm just gonna drag this around. yeah, I can position height of the water. So go somewhere up there like that. Oh yeah, and another big thing I always forget, which is really important to do, is to save your file. I just have a habit too of hitting Control S because sometimes the program will crash, and it sucks to just lose a whole bunch of work that you've done. So I'm just going to save this now. Okay, yes, and then the next thing that we're going to go ahead and do is, I guess, is position the camera. That's probably the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to zoom into the scene here and find a composition or placement that I like where I want to set my camera. It always takes a little bit to select first. Maybe I'll size this up one too. So shortcut for sizing up is if you just drag and select this. Here it highlights everything. You can just hit S1 or 2. So I made that a bit bigger so it's a little easier to see. Okay. So I think I'll just position it like this. And then if I want to set the camera to this view, I'll just go up. Let's find this camera here. And I'll go down to view, align view, and then align active camera to view. So you can also hit Control Alt and then 0 to do that. And then you'll see it positioned the camera right here. So that's a lot easier to do other than just using the transform tool. And then also with our camera selected, I'm gonna go up to the, where's my camera? Oh, down here. No, that shouldn't have any impact on the quality at all. The picture won't come out pixelated. I just made the landscape a bit bigger, so it just takes up more of the camera's view in this. So right now, in Blender here, it's just set to 50 millimeters the camera, but I like to set mine to a wider angle. So sometimes I go to 24 or 35 millimeters. So let's see what 24 looks like. It's a lot bigger, so maybe 35. Yeah, 35 should be okay. And then the next thing I think that we're going to go and do is we're going to add in a character from a site called Mixamo. So I might have to do a new screen share. Get it going. Yeah, so if you just go to mixamo.com, it should work. See, okay, yeah, so you can see my screen here. And I already have an account through Adobe, so I just logged in, but you can make a free account with them just by using your email. And then so I had selected this character here for my scene. And it comes with an animation or not. And I just went to this top right here and I clicked download. And I just downloaded it as an FBX with the T pose, or else I can download the original one. I'll just try the original one, see what that looks like. And then I'm going to hit download. So it just might take a minute here. And then I'll just go back to Blender. Yeah, so yeah, if you want to exit out of the camera view again, it's just, you can hit the pan or rotate. And so I'm going to go up to File, and then Import, and then Import FBX. And then excuse me, I'm just going to go to my downloads, and then Character, FBX, and then I'm just going to turn off the animation, and then import FBX, and it's probably going to pop up extremely large, which is okay. We'll just size it down smaller. Or I can also do it in here too. Let's try. Okay, so it brought my character in here, and then I'm just going to position her where the camera is. So I'm going to look through the camera view again by pressing 0. Bring her up, and then drag it in. I'm sorry, I think I forgot to go over this part. So on the top left here, we have the move tool, rotate, or scale. So I'm just going to hit the scale button and make it just a little bit bigger. And you can do that like having a uniform scale by dragging up on the middle here. Maybe she's a little big. Make it a little smaller. And then I'll just set it up here. I'm probably going to rotate so her back's away from me. And then just position it. So it's really cool. You can just download these free 3D characters. And then you can also like pose them yourself here in Blender, which is really handy. So I'm just going to zoom. I keep hitting the wrong button. So I'm going to select the armature at the top, and then I'm going to click this little arrow here to open it up. And then I'm going to go down to pose, and then I think it's viewport displays. Yeah. So you can kind of see that we have like the rigged portion of the character here, but you can't really see it and you can't really grab them. So if I select this in front, I can see now the whole character that's rigged up. I'm just going to zoom in. And then I should be able to, it'll change up to pose mode up here. Yeah, I should be able to select one of these. And I can drag her arm down by using the rotate tool. I'm just going to say on the front here just to make sure. Oops. Sorry, I have to get a little closer there. Okay, so I think I might just tilt her head down a bit. So I'm just going to select that again. That's going the wrong way. And then maybe I'll bring up her one leg to make it look like she is stepping. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the camera just to see how it looks as the character is posed, and it should be okay. And then I'm just going to turn off the in front for now. I just want to check too if there's any questions that anyone has or step that they want me to go back over. I can do that. Not, then I'll just continue on. Okay, so I think the next step that we're gonna do now is I'm gonna add in like a point of interest. So I'm just gonna throw in like this makeshift portal. So I'll just exit this. The armature. I'm gonna turn that off for now. Close that. And then, so I'm gonna go to Shift A, Mesh. And I'm just gonna add in a cube. And I'm just gonna resize the cube. And a quick way to do that, you can see it on the X, Y, or Z, and that's by hitting S, X, Y, or Z. So I'm just gonna scale it down all right now just a bit. So I'm just gonna hit S and drag the mouse thinner out, and it makes it a little bit smaller. And then I'm gonna make it a bit thinner. So I'm gonna hit S and Y, makes it -1. And then I'm also going to do that on X, so S and X. I'm just going to drag this down. Place that. And then if you also want to see how your scene looks from any of those views from X, Y, or Z, you can also just hit Z, so this will show the top down. And then you can zoom in, and then I just want to rotate the cube just to match the direction of my camera here. So that looks about right, and then I'm just going to place it in front of my character and then see how that looks. It's a little tall still, so Maybe a bit more. You don't have to add in a cube either. You can also add in a ring. That's one that I've used in the past for it also. It's pretty cool. So yeah, just adding that, you just shift A, mesh, torus. And I'm just going to increase to make it look more smooth. And I'm just dragging the major radius. That should be fine. I know it looks a little big right now, and I guess I'm just going to right click it and then click Shade Smooth. And then I'm going to rotate it 90 on the Y. And then you can just hit S to scale it down. Just want to see how it looks through the camera view. And then same thing too, you can just position it in front of the camera however you like, if you want that instead of the cube. So I'll just go ahead and hide that for now, or delete it, should be fine because it's pretty easy to add in. And then the next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to add in a sphere to cover the whole environment. And then we're just going to add material to that later to mimic a sky. So again, I'm going to go Shift A, Mesh, and then Circle. And I'm just going to scale it up. Oh, I hit the wrong one too. We want the UV sphere, sorry about that. And then I'm just going to increase so it makes it a little smoother. And I can bring the radius up here, or afterwards just by hitting S. And then if I right click on the sphere, shade smooth, doesn't look so pixelated. And then I'm just going to hide that for now so we can still work around it and add more in. And then I think the next step that I had was I think we'll just start doing some shading and adding in the lights. Okay. Yeah, because we've done the landscape, the character, the portal, the camera, and the sphere. Okay. So I'm going to make sure I turn on the sphere again, select it, and then I'm going to go into the shading tab here. Hit 0 to see through the camera. Right now it's on the material preview option that we had seen. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom here and hit new. I hope everyone's screens look like this right now. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click new. So it's going to create just like a default material for me here. And then I'm just going to go ahead here and open something up just 1 second. Okay, so we're going to add in a gradient to mimic a sky here. So I don't think we need this, so I'm just going to click that and hit X to delete it. And then I'm just going to rename this material here as sky for now. And then to move around in this space, you just hit the middle wheel and then just drag it side to side. And then same thing when we were adding in objects, you just hit Shift A. And then I'm going to type in search, and I'm going to type in mix shader. Sometimes it brings up the wrong one. Mix shader, and then I'm just going to drop and drag that in there. And then I'm going to take the surface and then plug it into the shader there. And then I'm going to hit Shift A again, search. I'm going to add emission. And then I'll just place that there and then Shift A again. And then transparent. And then I'm going to drop the shader into the emission. And then the shader into the BSDF here. Sure, hit save. And then we're going to add in a gradient here, which is a color ramp. So I'm going to Shift A, search. Color ramp, select that. And I'll place that there. And I'm going to plug in the color from the color ramp into the color in the emission. That should work. And then the next thing will be the gradient texture. So Shift A, search. Place that one there. And I'm going to plug the color into the factor, this one, and then the factor into factor on the mix shader. And then we want the gradient to go from like top to bottom. So we're just going to add in the separate X, Y, Z so we can tell it which way we want the gradient to go. And then I'm going to drag Z onto the vector. And then the last thing, switch, is the texture coordinate. And I'm going to drag generated into the vector there. So now we need to go in here and add in the color. So I'm just going to zoom in. And then to do that, I'm going to select this. And then down here is where we can pick the color. And it's just that black, so I'll just drag it up. You can see all the colors. But I want a dark blue. So maybe something like that. And then I'm going to select this one. And then I want that one to be an even darker blue. Maybe I'll lighten this up a bit. And then I'm going to turn up the strength of the emission to 3. So you can see it already looks brighter. And then I want to change this RGB from linear to ease. And then I'm going to drag the sliders up. Oops. Looks like so. And then I'm also going to change the gradient texture from linear to easing. So I can just drag the slider around and it should work. And yeah, so right here is all the materials that we use to create the sky. So the next thing we'll go ahead and do is the portal. So the portal's gonna light up the scene here. So just want to position that again a bit more. Okay, and I'll go back to my shading tab here. Okay, so we're also going to select new again here, and then I'm just going to name this to portal. And it does the same thing again. Brings up this one, which we don't need. So I'm just going to delete that one. Shift A, search. And then we're going to add in the mix shader again. I'm going to drag, drop there. We're going to drop in shader into surface. And then hit Shift A again, search, and then add in the emission because you want the object here to emit light. So I'm going to drag the emission into shader. And then Shift A again. And then we're going to add in the color ramp, drop that there, plug that in from color to color on the emission. I'm going to add in the gradient texture and then plug in color to the factor here. Again, we're going to go separate X, Y, Z, and then plug in Z into vector. And plug in generated into vector. Okay, so the emission strength, I'm going to put it all the way up to 8. And then here, I'm going to change this to ease. We'll leave this one as linear. And then this one will make it like pink color. Yeah, there's a lot on Blender's website under documentation. You can go through that to see a bit more. And then there's also a lot of like little tutorials that people have on YouTube too for adding out, yeah, different settings for making different materials here in Blender. I'm just gonna make this one like a neon pink on this side. Drag that in a bit. No problem. And it doesn't look like much right now because we're in the material preview, but if I go into rendered, we can see that it is emitting light. It doesn't look very nice right now because you don't have any post-processing. So I'll quickly just show you on the side here, if I turn on blue, definitely adds a lot more. Same with ambient occlusion for the shadows. And then I'll just go back. So I think that's all I had done for this one. Dragged it up a bit. Perfect. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to, for the water here, just going to exit out of this. I'll go back to my layout tab. And the water looks pretty flat right now. So to make it look more like water, I'm just going to exit out. Oh, I keep doing this. I'm going to select the water here. I'm just going to turn off my sphere so I can move around and see easier. Yeah, right now it's just a flat plane. There's nothing to it. So I'm just going to right click. Sorry, not right click. I'm going to select the water, hit tab, and then right click, subdivide. And then I'm going to turn rough cuts up as much as I can. So at 10. Click off of it, and then I'll just hit A again to select it all, right click, subdivide. Just a bit more, that should be enough. And then I'm going to turn the fractal up to make it look more like water. Doesn't need to be too much. Just want to see how it looks from the camera's point of view. That should be good. And then just select off of it and then hit tab to exit the edit mode. And see, we have water there. And then now we'll go add some materials to it. So we'll go back. I don't think we need the shading tab for this one, so I'll just use the materials tab here in the properties. So I'm just going to hit new. I'll just rename this one water. And then I'm going to turn up the metallic all of the way. Should work. Specular, what's this one here? Leave that one, and then the roughness I will turn up or turn down just a bit. And then I want to see how it looks in the render tab. And then I'll just make it dark black color and maybe turn down the roughness a bit more. Yeah, and then the next thing I think we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in material for the land here. So I can turn on the sphere again so you can see. And then I'll go into the shading tab. So then bring this down a bit. Material, name this one land. And this one's pretty easy. There's not much to it because it's not going to be really focusing on that part at all. I'm just going to add in a bump. Shift A, take a bump, select that. From normal to normal. Just like there's a lot to see, so I'll just drag this up because I can position it down here. And then I just made it like a dark color too for the base color. So you can't really see it too much if it's on some kind of futuristic planet. Turn the specular down just a bit, just by dragging it too. Sorry if I didn't mention that earlier. Roughness should be okay, Sheenton. And I think that's all I really did for that part there. So that one was really easy to do. Make sure you hit save. The next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we'll add in an area light. So just kind of lights up our scene here a bit more. Because right now the only light source we have is kind of from the sphere and then just from this portal. So I'm just going to hit Shift A and then go down to light. And then I'm going to select the area light. You see it brought it up there. And just drag it up just above the view of the camera. And then I'm going to change it from a square just to circle. You see these arrows drag up the size of the light here. And then I'm going to change the color of the light. Maybe I want it like a purplish kind of color. You can, yeah, you guys can select whichever color you like. Maybe no, there's a lot of pink in this, but it matches. Maybe orange. Yeah. And I'll change this one to green. I'll turn down the strength and maybe. Yeah, that's a bit better. Area lighter, and then I added in some fog into the scene just to make it look a little more, I guess, kind of realistic, and adds like some more effects to it. So that one's pretty easy to do too. So again, I'm just going to go Shift A, Mesh, Cube, and then I'm just going to scale it down on the Z. Not that big. And then I'm going to hit S2, so it matches the same size of our landscape here. Maybe a little smaller on the Z. And I know it looks like it's covering everything. Yeah, we can see on the side here, this is our water plane right here. So I just want to position it above that. Making sure it covers it a bit. Here. And we're going to go into our shading tab here again. And I'm going to select new, and then I'm just going to type in fog for this one. Okay. Go ahead and I'll get rid of this one here by hitting X. And then I'm going to hit Shift A, search. And I'm going to add in the principal volume. And then I'm going to select that. And I'll plug in volume into volume here. And then I'm going to add in a color ramp again. Drop that one there, and then drag color into emission color in the principal volume. And then shift it again. And then I'm going to add in mix. Oh, I think I clicked the wrong one, sorry. Yeah, the mix RGB is what we're going to want. And then I'm going to drop in the color, which is back to this one. And then a search noise texture. Drop that one there, and then plug in the factor into color 1. And then shift A, gradient texture. And then I'm going to drop color into color 2. And then I'm pretty sure the last thing, let's see here. Yeah, if you just hit Control T, it'll bring up, so yeah, you're just gonna make sure you click this one and then hit Control T, and it'll bring up the mapping and the texture coordinate. But we're gonna just change this from, instead of generated to vector, so move that here. I'm gonna do object to vector. And then I changed it here on Y. Let's see. 90. Those are all fine. And then let's see. Location of this. Linear. Oh yeah. So I'm going to plug in also vector into a vector down here. And then let's see, scale is 3D, 4D, that's what's fun. So this one at 0, this one at 1, detail at 2, roughness should be okay. And then we just gotta add in I'll bring this black one up a bit more. So you can kind of see as I drag this around the fog in the scene there. Should be okay. And I'm just going over everything just to make sure we have density. You can drag the density up a bit more if you'd like. That looks good, so just make sure you hit save. And then the next thing that we're going to go ahead and do here is we're going to add in the animation for the water here. So I'll go back to my layout. I'll select the, not the cube, not the landscape thing, which is the water here. You can also rename it if it's easier to remember. So you can just right click or double click, sorry, and we'll just name this one as water name. Okay, so I'm going to go down to this wrench icon here, which is the modifiers tab here. So I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to add a modifier, which is the wave one down here, which looks a little excessive right now. And I'm just going to, what did I do last time? I'm going to turn down. Time. Yeah, I'm just going to turn down this speed of it. It's a little bit wonky right now, sorry. Just going to turn down the height a bit. And I'm just dragging on the timeline here on the bottom just to see that it's moving pretty fast. So I'll turn the speed down. And yeah, I just had to turn down the height. Let's see what's a bit better. It's a little excessive. Yeah, it's just a lot of like, I guess just tweaking it to how you like or how you want it to look. It should be enough, so I'm just going to change the position of this and drag it down a bit more. And then, so I think the next thing I want to do is just quickly add in this animation. So on the bottom here, you'll see that we have it starting and ending at frame 1 and then ends at 250, which is just 10 seconds. So it's a short little video and it's just like a little looping animation. And I just put it at that time just because it's a lot quicker to render out. So we're going to open this on the bottom here. And then I'm just going to drag this to 1. And then where it says along normals here, I'm just going to click this. And that means that it keyframed the animation of this modifier at 1. And then I'm going to drag this all the way to 250. And then I'm also going to select this diamond again. So now here it's saved and added in this animation. You see if we drag that. And yeah, if it looks, we can just adjust the speed. That's a bit better. So we'll save that one. And then the next thing I think we'll do is we'll do a little bit of post-processing. Maybe I could add in a couple more lights just around my character. Let's see, I'll turn this sphere on. The water looks pretty dull right now. I'll go back to that afterwards. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the post-processing. Oh, right, sorry, I'm getting all confused here. I got distracted by the water. Yes, I'm going to quickly add in another light. So I'm just going to hit Shift A, light, and maybe just a point light. Oh, dragging this the wrong way. See, now you can see the fog a bit more, but I don't think I want spot. I think that's the one that I want. It's really easy too here because yeah, you can change if you want the point or a spotlight here in Blender. And I'm just going to make it a bit smaller. See how bright that makes that. Make this one maybe more like a purple kind of color. Purpley pink. Just lights that up a bit better. Okay, then I'll go back to my camera here. Okay, so I've turned on the ambient occlusion. And I've just left the settings as they are. And then I'll turn on the screen space reflections. There we go. That's how you can see if the water's reflective or not, which we couldn't really see earlier. This shows that. Let's see. So drag that up. And I'll also leave the settings as they are. You can tweak them if you want. And then I like to do adding in the color management. So yeah, it just changes the contrast. And I usually like doing the medium high contrast. Yeah, it just makes it a little bit bigger. So that's good. Save that one. And we've already posed our character, placed her. She's not animated. Change the camera. And what's the last thing? I'm just trying to go over everything. I feel like I'm missing one thing. We have our animation. Oh, that's what I missed. Let's see. Oops. Okay, so I just want to animate maybe turning this light so that it's glowing. So I'll just go to 1. Strength. Okay, so it's at 8 right now. I'm going to keyframe that, and then I'll drag it to like 30, and I'll change this to, let's try 20, see how bright that is. Keyframe that. That's done. And bring it up to 60 and drag it down to 15. And then I'll go ahead to 100, make it really bright. 40. 180. So 210. And then we'll end it off at 8 again. So if we go back to the layout, you can see that the brightness of that portal changes in intensity, and we have the water moving here. And I feel like the fog maybe is a bit too dense, so I'm just going to go back up to the shading. And this is our fog, and the density I'm just going to turn down a bit. Make sure I have the water smooth. Save that. And then the last thing here is rendering out an animation here. So it's pretty straightforward. We've done animations for this. Use our character. And then I'm just going to go to dimensions here. So we're going to have it right now. This one is just 1920 by 1080 at 100% frame rate. This is where it will start rendering out at this frame and then ending at 250. You can also do it shorter, say if you have like a bigger animation project. And then I'm going to go to output here, and I'm going to click this folder. I'm just going to go up one because it's saved it somewhere else. Renders, and then just going to accept that. There. Maybe I should rename this. And then I want to put it as a video. So I'm going to, in the file format, select the FFmpeg video. And then I'm going to open up the encoding. And then under container, I'm going to change that to MPEG-4. And then the codec is H.264. So that's just like an MP4. So you can upload the animation to YouTube or social media like Instagram or Facebook. We don't have any audio, so you don't need to worry about that. I usually just leave it at medium quality, but you can turn it up to high quality if you'd like. And then the last thing to do, it's pretty easy. So we've already set where we want to save our file and the codec of it. So we're just going to go to the top here to render and then render animation. So you can see up in the top left here, it's going frame by frame, which can take a while sometimes. And I turned mine up to high quality, so it might take a little bit longer. You can also hit just like the render image out, and then you can save an image that way too, which is really easy. Yeah, so I've done this before too, where I've just exported videos and uploaded them to either like Instagram or Facebook. And the easiest way to do that one, I'll just minimize that. I'll go up to the top here, and where the resolution is, you can change that. So I think I had uploaded like a reel to Instagram, and I think it was 1080 by 1920 was for like the, I guess kind of portrait mode instead of landscape. Yeah, this is pretty much it, and towards the end of this workshop. So I don't know if anyone had actually done this, because I know it's a little hard to follow along watching the screen, and like if you don't have two screens, like minimizing and going back and forth between the two of them. But yeah, if anyone has any questions or anything that they want to ask or bring up, feel free to, while this is rendering out right now.
And I'll just say that this will be recorded so people can go back and check on things as well, because it will be posted on the Abijajuan website.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, for Blender, I'd say like I think there's a guy, his name is like Polygon Runway on YouTube, and he does a lot of like isometric rooms, and they look pretty cute. His stuff, and like his videos are fairly long. Usually like they're 40 minutes, but then if you're following along and doing that, I feel like it's double that. So it takes like almost 2 hours to do something, because there's a lot of like pausing and going back and forth, but he shows a lot of really cool things. And then I think there's another artist too. He does more abstract stuff rather than modeling, and I think his YouTube is also like Ducky 3D. Yeah, so it's pretty cool, and I really like using this software because like it's open source, it's free. You can download it and just play around with it. There's just like a lot of cool capabilities that this software has, because I actually had learned like 3D modeling in Maya, but that's pretty expensive to have, and this one's free, so it's just a lot easier to use. Thank you. It's almost done rendering out here, so I'll see if I can pull up the animation where it's saved afterwards. Okay, I think it's done. Okay, yeah, it works, so I might need to do a new share. I'm just going to screen share. Yeah, this is the animation that it rendered out here. You can see it's just a short little 10-second video. We've got light changing and the water. Thank you. Yeah, so if you just want to change the size, it's just here. So I'll change both of them at the same time. Yeah, this is like the portrait mode to share on Instagram if you want to. That's all you need to do is just change the resolution on the X or the Y. Did anyone else follow along with this right now, or did everyone just kind of watch and we're probably going to go back to the video afterwards? I just watched. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a lot easier, I guess, that way at first rather than trying to do it, because it makes it a lot slower and it's a bit trickier to keep up with it too. Going back and forth between the two of them. What was the issue with the FBX? Like it just wasn't bringing it in? Oh. Oh wow, I've never seen that one pop up before, but sometimes it's just a little tricky in Blender and it brings up the wrong thing here and there. FBX. Just want to see. I might have to look into that to see if I can help you out, and I can just send an email off here so it can help you fix it afterwards. I'm just going to write this down here. Yeah, I think that's everything that I have. But yeah, I'll look into that issue there and see if I can figure it out, and then I'll send it off here, and then maybe I can email you or send whatever, maybe you solve the problem.
Great. Well, if no one has any final questions, I'll give everyone a couple seconds in case they want to jump in. But thank you so much, Taylor. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So if there's no final questions, I guess we'll call that an end.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.